Old guy here. Welcome to the channel. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. And now, on with the show. Thank you so much.
Non-Emergency Medical Transportation, a User's Guide, Part 2. Disclaimer: this video is not authorized by any of the benefactors or government agencies involved. As this is a senior-oriented channel, some of my comments will be specific to Medicare-related information. Other than that, my advice applies to everyone. From Part 1, a brief recap. NEMT is a benefit, not an entitlement. The plan specifically states the type of trips it pays for, how much time is required to find transportation, and defines mileage or the number of trips available limits. They also detail grievance procedures. Urgent trip types and procedures. Certain types of treatment are considered life-sustaining and are accepted on short notice if needed. Dialysis, chemoradiation therapy, and wound care are common to most plans. Coordination with the facility is critical. It can take up to 3 or 4 hours to find transportation. If the facility cannot accommodate you, the trip is for nothing and you have to return home without treatment. Hospital discharge transports are required by most plans to be set up by an employee of the facility. Occasionally, a plan allows the member to call in the reservation. Typically, the time required to get transportation is 3 hours, but some plans have other requirements. If the member needs a wheelchair provided by the transportation provider, the state may disallow the trip and have the member be transported by stretcher instead. If the plan does not allow stretchers as a covered service, the trip could be denied, or member services may offer other options beyond the scope of standard reservation service. Urgent situations. Non-life-threatening injuries, fevers, pain, cough, and similar symptoms may be covered by the plan. Trips to the hospital are often covered only when related to surgery or admission to the hospital. Urgent care facilities can be considered separately for coverage by the plans, but may also be treated like a doctor's visit. These trips usually require that the medical facility either confirm the need to be seen or the reservation is made by the facilities. For sudden severe symptoms or injury that cannot wait 3 or more hours to be seen, dial 911. Mass transit. Not all plans offer mass transit. When it is offered, there are limits to the distance from the door to the bus stop at each end of the trip. There are requirements for how many NEMT trips are within a calendar month or week. The result is a bus or train pass that permit travel not related to medical appointments. The member must be able to walk, and there may be age limits. Mileage reimbursement. If you can travel to and from appointments in a private vehicle, the driver can be reimbursed an amount per mile based on the miles calculated by the reservation system. The plan sets the amount per mile. The driver may have state requirements, and the vehicle or vehicles may have to meet established criteria as well. The driver must be entered into the reservation system and be associated with the member's account. The state may or may not allow the member to drive themselves. The advantage of reimbursement is that the reservation can be taken in as little as an hour before the appointment, depending on the plan requirements. The reference number must be on the form that is signed by the facility, confirming the visit, for the driver to be paid. The form is available online and must be printed out to be used. Recurring trips, such as a mother visiting her baby in a neonatal intensive care unit, reimbursement can soften the expense of making these daily trips. Terms you may not be familiar with that can affect the availability of transportation. Curb to curb. The member can get themselves to and from the parked vehicle. Most of the providers are in this category. Door to door requires a driver or an attendant to assist the member from the entry of the pickup address to the vehicle, then to the door of the drop-off address. Hand to hand requires a member to be transferred to a stretcher that can be loaded into a vehicle, then to the drop-off location, and from the stretcher to a bed or gurney. Multi-loading. Certain types of treatment require medication up to 7 days a week. Protocol has these treatments distributed at clinics where the member goes in, stands in line to get their medication, and leaves, if not getting counseling. Plans have policies about transportation providers using buses and vans to pick up and return these members going to the same clinic, as long as no member travels longer than 45 minutes over the calculated time to the facility as a single passenger per trip. A round trip is 2 single trips, so the additional time could be doubled on the same date. Plans have members of other plans riding in the same vehicle. Standing orders. Members that need weekly recurring trips for at least 90 days into the future can have bulk reservations set up by a social worker or counselor. If your address or phone number changes, have your standing orders updated as soon as possible so you don't miss any rides. When children are the covered member or a ride-along, both the plan and the state have very specific policies. State laws determine who is legally a minor. Presently, up to 19 years of age can be considered a minor. Usually, minors must be accompanied by an adult, but there are exceptions set by the state legislatures. An emancipated minor has adult privileges. Some states require that someone who is not a parent or legal guardian be registered in the reservation system to meet requirements to escort a child. Plans implement policies that meet state requirements of who can make reservations on behalf of a minor. Usually, minors cannot make reservations, but in certain circumstances they are allowed to. It is important to know what is in your plan. Plans determine eligibility for service animals based on relevant laws. Most often, dogs are applicable. However, in Texas, miniature horses are included. The driver may reject the trip if an unexpected animal is present. Every year that you are on Medicare, there is annual advertising of plans trying to get your business. Know what your coverage is now, what your limits are now, the policies regarding escorts, children, and service animals, if applicable. The differences in the plans you are considering switching to and what you already have may not meet your transportation needs. What can go wrong? There are many reasons for a ride to fail to happen. Being a transportation provider is voluntary. There are contracts, but all contracts cover extraordinary circumstances. Independent contractors may take on NEMT as a sideline of their core service, or can be dedicated to specific types of members using modified vehicles, or rideshare drivers using their personal vehicles. Weather. At times, a transportation provider will consider weather conditions for their people and equipment as too risky to be on the roadways. Natural disasters also apply. Human error. Sometimes people make mistakes that cause transportation to go to a wrong address. Unexpected events. There can be traffic delays. Accidents can happen. The equipment breaks down. The driver may become ill or have a family emergency. Supply and demand. At times, the demand for service exceeds the availability of transporters. Rideshare drivers schedule themselves so their availability is constantly changing. Language barriers. Sometimes the member does not speak English and the transportation provider does not speak their language, or the text from the rideshare is not understood. The member does not know that the trip has been assigned to a driver. The result is often a missed pickup. Technical disparity. Rideshare is designed around texting. The system contacts a rider by text, sometimes on the day before, always when a driver takes a member's trip. At times it texts about the return trip and not the first trip. It is possible to connect with a ride without the ability to get text. Often the ride is missed due to not getting notified of where the driver is when they are en route to the member. If the cell phone has internet for tracking ability, the member is best suited to get picked up. Business hours. If a trip runs beyond the operational hours of the provider, the trip can be rejected. Member-provider conduct. There are events that the participants have opposing points of view. The disagreement may have to be resolved through the grievance process established by the plan administrators. Members that have been listed as no-shows or have excessive short of the required notice cancellations may have their privileges changed. If mass transit is an option, that may be the only way the member can make reservations for a period of time. Have a contingency procedure. Depending on how important the trip is, consider maintaining a backup plan. Where possible, the member might have a rideshare account or a taxi company to provide quick recovery to make it to the appointment on time. If the reservation failed for reasons beyond the member's control, a claim can be filed with the plan administrator to be compensated for self-recovery trip expenses. I would like to take a moment to thank our siblings, past, present, and future, that defend the Republic, and those that serve the public. Thank each and every one of you. If you found value in this video, please like and subscribe. Ring the notification bell if you want to know when the next video is published. Please leave your questions and comments below. Y'all come back now, you hear?